I did my color. I did one. I really want to do more. How fun are they? I love it.
Oh, you do?
Actually,
So good.
I actually love it.
Oh,
At first, it was a bit intimidating because I was like, "This is going to take forever." But once you start doing it, you just get on a roll. I think
yes. You sort of need a good chunk of time, don't you?
that's definitely
so
time consuming.
You could frame that.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, there's actually even these gross, like you'd say, there's like mud because I use purple.
Yeah.
And it's funny, since we did the warm and cool colors and stuff, I was like, well, this is obviously got all the primaries in it. Which is like, that makes sense because it's purple, so it's got blue and red, and then I added yellow to it, which is made mud.
Yes.
But it's even a nice color. Like, even when you put the white with it, it's a really nice grey color.
Yes. Yes.
But I think I could just do them over and over and just keep doing it because, I don't know, just found it really, I don't know, just something about mixing colors and seeing what happens. It's just fun.
And there's so many options, isn't it? Because you can have exactly what you have and just change a couple of colors, and the whole thing, obviously some colors will mix the same, but you can even do different ratios, like have more yellow or more red, and then it's like. And the other thing was, you can even think, oh, I really love this color that I mix these two colors. So you can even take it and on a separate piece of paper, just explore different gradients of those two, like adding more or less and more white and less white, and even add another color if you wanted to, and just see what happens.
Yeah. Yes. No, I really enjoyed it, and I feel like I could just do so many of them, honestly. If I had the time, I probably would.
You can make it like little, like even smaller squares.
Yeah, I did wonder, like, instead of doing 8 across, do you just do like 4 and do like a mini version or whatever?
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed that. And I suppose my only question from the that module, I know this is probably more like a general thing, but I missed the last one, is I get opaque and I get transparent, but I don't, like, I have a semi-transparent. I don't really know how to do it.
Did you, can you see it in the one that I sent? I don't have too many semi-transparent paints either.
I only had
one that was sort of, where is it?
I do remember, I don't have it printed in front of me because I haven't been able to print it, but I do remember it. I think it was like a blue or something on the far right.
Yeah, I had it with me.
So that was like that's my blue that's semi-transparent.
Yes.
Which is probably hard to see. But that's, I can't really tell the difference between that and that, which is transparent.
Yeah, and sometimes it varies between the brand and the paint. They might say semi-transparent. It's just the degree to what you can see. So it could be that the tube says semi-transparent, but if you can really see the swatch behind it, I would say it's sort of quite transparent.
So I've painted with that blue before. I painted a vase with it.
Yeah.
And when I started painting it, I was like, oh, I don't think I picked the right color because it, like, I thought it was very transparent, but it's semi-transparent. And then I've picked other colors that are transparent that worked differently. So I'm very, I don't know, maybe it's just.
It's a lot about knowing your paints. Like, once you start using them, and at least in the tube as well, if you want to paint something that is going to cover, probably don't choose a semi-transparent or transparent. Try to choose opaque paint. But if the tube does say that it's transparent, semi-transparent, you can play with it. But you also may know that you either have to mix it with an opaque paint.
I was going to say, I ended up mixing it with something opaque. It just worked better. And I didn't really know that at the time. I just, because like I said, I haven't painted for a time. I haven't done any artsy stuff. I'm science background.
So you have that inquisitive.
But I was just like, this ain't working, so I just mixed it with something else and it worked.
I find a lot of yellows are very transparent. I find yellow hard to paint with unless I mix it with white.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. cadmium is,
Always.
that's why I use cadmium paints, because they're
Yeah.
the ones that I found to be the most opaque, and I love that.
Yeah.
But there is one which is, I mean, and this is what I used it today, and this is oils, but you know, every brand would have it. Actually, this one's semi-transparent. I used Spectrum Yellow today, and it wasn't as transparent as I didn't think it was semi-transparent. So there you go. It's quite opaque in what I was doing. So
Yeah.
yes, have a look if you really want to, you know, when you buy new paints and when you go to the store, just have a look and see what's here that's opaque and what's here that's transparent. I find that a lot of the cool colors are transparent,
Yes.
but even ultramarine blue is sort of transparent and it's warm. So, but
Yes.
cobalt is more opaque. So
Yeah.
then you can probably mix those two if you want the ultramarine to be less transparent, but still have warm, because we were talking about the warm blues. They're not very many that I found, at least. So when you have the cobalt and the ultramarine seem to be the warmest that I've been able to, you know, that I know of, you can mix a little bit of them together and make it a little bit more opaque. Cobalt is quite expensive, so you might find a cobalt hue, and that way could be a cheaper tube. You don't really probably need to have the cobalt pigment, but that's one thing to do, like you did, you know, you start mixing them. But with yellows, yes, a lot of the yellows are a bit transparent. Yeah.
And I was just looking at my two yellows.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, I know. I had the
Then I
same
have
issue
the
with
cool
acrylics.
yellow.
Yeah.
And then that cool yellow, that would be very transparent. Now I've learned
Yeah.
that.
Does it say?
Will be.
What does
That
it
says
say in
cool
the
yellow. It says cool yellow, processed yellow.
And what's the level of transparency, and do you have like it? Sometimes it could say actually that it is transparent or opaque.
Yeah.
What brand is it?
That I don't even know where I got that one from. Chromasil.
Oh, okay. No, I was just looking to see if I have one so I can help find. But see this yellow light Hansa, it has, it just says there, see the square?
Yes.
So that's transparent. And then a yellow dip is transparent. I actually, and this one, cadmium yellow medium, is opaque in my acrylics. And it works similarly in watercolors too. So usually the cadmium ones are quite opaque. I think, I wonder if Naples yellow is opaque too. I have a feeling that to me looks very like mixed with white, sort of like a creamy yellow. So maybe that's why it could be opaque. But yeah, you can either add white, or you can
another yellow.
Or you can, yes, or if you want to warm it up, you can add a red to it. That is opaque. And then mix a nice big pool, and then that way, they'll stay opaque. Yeah, but I think if you're unsure, if you can still see through it, I wouldn't really worry if it's semi-opaque or semi-transparent or transparent. If you can see through, then you just know that you will need more than probably one layer if you want to not see what's underneath it. I mean, they're really beautiful paints to paint with, transparent, but you have to, you know, they won't work all the time. The same as opaque, won't work all the time, depending on what you want to do. Hey, do you have any questions? How did you go?
I'm a little bit behind. I'm a bit behind, and I've left my exercises at work. But I've loved it. I've found that I haven't painted since I was at school, so I have, but not properly. And I just have found it so interesting because I've never really thought about color mixing. I think that's my thing. I've got so many paints because I just buy the colors, and I've never really thought, And so now when I'm painting, I'm thinking about mixing colours and what colour, and so yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm so glad to hear that. I think
Yeah.
color is one of those things that you sort of find, at least I did, to, quite daunting, thinking,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I just don't want to put any color. Let me paint in one
Yeah.
little white. But it's just that practice. And I think that when some things you start to hear about, and then to put the brush to paper, then suddenly, like you were saying, Erica, I can read the theory and I understand it when we're talking about warm, but then I look at the theory, it's like, I can't tell you, is this warm or is
And
this
when I was doing this chart, I had the warm and cool in the back of my mind. Like I would mix two things and something would happen. I'd be like, okay, well that must be because this is a cool red and this is a cool, or whatever happened. Like, yeah, something I would never think about before. And since we've done the warm and cool colors, I really noticed that I was making more links in terms of that. And I found that really useful and really helpful. And I just found it really interesting. And like the whole color wheel and stuff, like I said, I'm not from I did art when I was young, but I'm talking like when I was 14, 15. And so then when I got to the older school levels, I had to stop doing art to do study. And I never did color wheels and all that sort of stuff. So I found that really interesting, and learning about the complement colors. And, even when you have, like you've got a blue and you want it to be, you put a bit of orange or something in it, and it just changes that type of blue color to something really, I don't know, just really nice. And I just found that really interesting and fun.
Yeah, that's
really.
so good. And
Yeah, like you can just make so many different colors from like 2 tubes of paint.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
3 or something. You
exactly.
could just do so many different things
Yes.
that, I didn't really, the possibilities are infinite, really.
Exactly. And the thing as well is that by keeping it small, you keep that harmony as well. When you start adding too many different colors, then it's a bit hard to keep that balance sort of in an artwork. Whereas you keep in primaries, you're mixing pretty much every color. So everything is a variation of what you have. It's not something completely new being added in. So that helps to have that unity and that sense that it does feel balanced and harmonious. So yes, it's and it's amazing. I mean, I'd love to see, Kate, how many colors you have, but I would want for you to use them all.
No, I have so many. I'm going to show you. You'll be horrified. Horrified.
I'd love to.
No, you will be horrified. Hold on, I don't even know how to turn it around.
I'm interested in your storage too.
Look.
You can set up your own
baskets. Unnecessary. Now I know, unnecessary.
No, but you know what I can't remember. I was saying to someone that you could use your limited palette, say your yellow, your red, your blue, but then start introducing other things like 1, 2 tubes at a time. Because once you master, like, Eric, when you were saying, I'm just looking at things and thinking warm and this is cool. And, this is happening because obviously, I'm mixing the 3 primaries. So I'm getting this sort of muddy color, but it's still beautiful. So once you start making those connections, you'll feel more comfortable and confident to add something, a new tube, and to see, what can I create with this?
Yes.
And doing those those charts as well, like you were saying, do I need to use 8 colors? No, absolutely not. And you can make them, half the size as well. It doesn't need to be that big. I sort of quite like, the look, because you can really see the colors. But you can make it half the size. You can have 4 paints. You can have, 6 paints. You can have, I should show you something. I forgot to show you.
You can have 36 paints.
52.
You will love, I think you love this. You think you have too many colors. These are my watercolors. So I don't know how long this took me, but I have a feeling that it was weeks You know, not
That's
every
beautiful.
but I just absolutely loved it. It was like, oh,
So look at that. My God.
Wow, so many tiny little squares.
yeah, and I just had to do it. I couldn't help myself. It's like,
Yeah.
I have to do it. And so you can see, you can take it to that level, or you can just do, you know, 3 colors. And
Yeah.
yeah. And it's just like so much fun as well. You know, when you're stuck, when you're doing your paintings and you have these moments that you might feel stuck, these are great things to do, just to say, okay, I'm just going to take my paints and I'm going to mix color, because there's no expectation or pressure or anything. You're just playing.
And there's really no right or wrong, because you can make whatever color you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. There is no right or wrong. It's what you like. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was actually in the I think it was the week 3 module. I'd done a class on landscapes. I have never done landscapes, and I did it with a friend for fun. And I came home and I thought, I'm going to paint this photo. And it happened to be, I'm sure it was week 3, the warm versus cool sort of thing. And at the end, you said, looking at the painting, in the distance, the cooler colors are at the back and the warmer at the front. And I suddenly looked at it and went, oh my God, I've got to make the front warmer and the back cooler.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
Oh, there you go. That's so
It made like a difference.
Yes.
So it was good looking at the picture of the landscape, and I looked at it and I thought, well, I'd never actually thought that.
Yeah.
But when you bring the warm to the front and the cool to the back, it sort of, you know, gives it depth.
Gives depth. Yeah.
And you know how funny, because obviously I live in Bathurst, and we travel to Sydney a fair bit, so we go through the Blue Mountains. And
so beautiful.
To the Blue Mountains, yes, there's like the landscape is open, and you see hills in the background. And I never really stopped to, like, you look at something, but I don't sit there and analyze it. Now I do, but before I didn't. But now that I know that, and I look, I say, yes, that's exactly right. Look at the mountains in distance. You know, the color is sort of grayish, and you can see like a white film. Even on the crispest day, there's, you know, everything in the background is sort of subdued. And then as you come to the front, you really see the reds, and the trees are darker, and, you know, all those vibrant yellows. You know, obviously there's still red and everything in the background, but everything in the foreground is just, you know, very, it's way darker, and it's more defined. So it's funny how until sometimes you see something, you don't really stop to think about it and to analyze it. But now it's like, oh yes, and my husband talks to me, and I'm just looking at, you know, analyzing colors. Like, I
went to Orange. We went to Orange a few weeks ago, and I had my daughter, she's 14, in the car on the way home. And I'm driving, and I'm saying to her, take a photo of that. Take a photo of that. Wind your window down. They weren't great photos, but I wanted to capture it. I wanted to stop and capture it, but so beautiful.
Yes, that's right. And when you're driving, it's harder to see, like you see it, but you can't. You know, you have to be a passenger to really be looking and thinking, oh.
Yes, I know. And it is amazing. But I loved that. I loved the cooler at the back and the warmer at the front. And I went, yes, that works. That's so right.
Yeah. Yes, and I mean, it's in so much. I mean, obviously, all these painters figure that out as well from observation. You know, it's not something that they made up. It's just, you know, there's some theory behind it, or some reason why they paint the way they paint.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know if I'll do landscapes, but it was good while I did them.
No, exactly. Yeah. I find the same. I don't love landscape. I mean, I love to buy landscapes, but they're not the thing that I love to paint.
No. And I like the bright colours. And so the photo I'd found, a friend had sent me a photo. I don't even, it was from an Instagram photo of somebody's property, and the sky was so pink and orange. And I went, oh, I like that. I'll give that a try because of the pink and the orange. But
and if our sunsets are always very vibrant like that. Sorry.
You like that?
Our sunsets are, I'd say 90% of the time, like pink, red, bright, beautiful.
Yeah.
Are
Because we have
they?
a salt lake. We have a salt lake just there, and it just all reflects off it and stuff too. I always think I should probably try and paint that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where are you, Erica?
Southwest Victoria.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, you need
Yeah.
to try and paint them with your warm and cool colours.
Well, actually, it's funny that you say that because I was doing I was trying a landscape of something, and I was looking at it being like, there's something really not right. Like, it doesn't look bad, but there's something not good about it as well. And the warm and cool colors, I was like, I'm pretty sure I have to change that. So it's in my to-do pile. So I might do that when I get some time.
You can redo it, or do another study.
Just tweak it. Yeah.
Works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll do, Shani, do you think you'll do another course at some stage, like the next step?
Oh, what do you think? What do you think?
What is the next
What would
step?
you like to learn? Maybe next. I don't know.
I think using the colours and shadowing, like I find shadowing tricky.
Making
Yeah.
the shadows.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's okay. A good thing. I mean, I can tell you what I think you could do. Shadows. I don't make shadows the way they are, because they are sort of grey with a touch of something. But I like to have them with a lot of color.
Yeah.
So for me, shadows are I like to make them really warm. So
yes.
Because they're a big part of my painting. It's not just, if I paint say a lemon, it is about the lemon, but a lot of it is the way the shadows are on the background. So I like to make them really warm. And, there has to be usually something adding darkness. So it could be a blue that, will make it cooler, but it has to be dark somehow. But by adding warm things to it, like a warm red, then I'm able to make it darker, but adding that sort of element of warmth. How I was saying, I can't remember which module it was, maybe it was in 4, that the way a lot of the professional artists paint is they have, if you have a cool light, you have warm shadows, and if you have warm light, you have cool shadows. I have warm light, but I want my shadows to be warm. So I make my objects not cool because they're warm, they're really vibrant. I don't have that distinction. But in my light areas, I make them cooler because I have the white content to it. Whereas in the shadow, I won't have white unless I have the borders. And the borders where they meet the background.
Yes.
It has to be lighter. In some areas, you will start, to put white, but obviously not like you do in the lights. The lights is sort of, you want that to pop. So yes, that's probably what I could say about the shadows too.
Because it's all still, which I've never thought before really either. The shadows are so much about colour mixing too.
Yes.
Because you do look, and shadows are usually, greys and darker sort of, but dull.
Yeah, that's right. But you can make them anything you want. So it's what works with you really, and what you have, and then finding a way to tie it in with your art as well, especially with still life, I suppose. But with landscape, you have heaps of shadows. Depending on the time of the day, the earlier in the morning and the later at night, you'll have those beautiful, long, extended shadows on anything.
Yes.
So yes, I'll think if I can, explain it somehow. It's a bit tricky.
Yeah. I love doing like courses and learning from other people. I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same. I'm always doing something. Sorry, I was saying in the other video as well that the Facebook group will stay on. So it's just a lovely place to, even if I come up, if I find, 20% off art somewhere. I can
Yes.
post it there and let you know, hey, they have this
Yeah.
style, you know, you can go and buy it, or even you might find, I love this new color. Look what I was able to mix it with, and get everyone's you know, ideas or thoughts.
Yeah.
Or it's just like a community, lovely thing to have. So yeah,
Nice.
any questions?
That's a good idea.
Absolutely. You can send me an email or put them there. So yeah, I'd love to see it and see. Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, so good. I've loved it.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear. So happy to hear.
Yeah.
It's,
No, it was lots of fun. I think I'm going to have to do more charts now
oh,
if I can find the time.
A
oh.
giant one. A giant one. You'll have to do.
You know what? You might be right. Just bite the bullet and just do all of them all at once.
Yes.
I don't have paper big enough.
But it is, yeah, it's super fun to do. It just gets a little bit addictive. So it's like you have to stop yourself. Like,
It
okay,
does. But it's a good, you can see how that it'd be a really good reference for
yes.
you
Oh
when you're
yeah.
trying to,
Yeah.
rather than just winging it on a palette. Sometimes it'd be good to see something and be like, oh yeah, I really like that
That's right.
orange. How did I make it? Oh, I did that. Or
Yeah. Yeah.
Or-
And then you'll see as well that some colors are very similar. And you know, okay, I won't buy that tube again once I used it all. Because I have two
Yeah.
colors that are really similar. You know, it's just
yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think my biggest learning has been that I don't need all these paints. That really I just need my primaries, and probably a lot of them, because I must paint with a lot of paint. But I think that's been my biggest thing, that I can, you know, make so many colors with just so few paints.
And paint.
Although I do like having browns,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
a burnt sienna,
Yes.
Oh, you need
yes.
that.
or
Yeah.
umber. Like I need those. I do
You
need
need
those.
it. Yeah, I would always pretty much have a burnt sienna. I wouldn't mix it. Yeah, I can mix it.
Yeah.
You can mix it, but yeah, it's just too hard. It's like, oh, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
just, you know, and it also mixes really well, you know, with the blacks to make blacks and
Yes.
really darks. But the other thing is that paint is so expensive. So if you only have a few, you know, I would be prepared to buy like the Michael Harding paints that are really expensive, or you know, other paints that are really expensive. Even, you know, all the cadmiums are $140 a big tube. It's a lot of money. So if you only have a few, then you think, oh yes, I'm ready to invest in really good quality paints, which will make a difference. When you're painting, you see the difference. You see the flow, how long they last, you know, whether they crackle or crack. Yeah.
And some of mine are crappy ones that I've bought for a certain color or something, but I haven't used them because they don't paint well.
Yeah.
But what about a hot pink?
Yes, that is the quest that I'm.
What do you do for hot pink?
In oils, I find it super tricky because, like I was saying, all the cool reds that I find are transparent, and I don't like to use transparent in some of my paints. But you can mix the quinacridone magenta with a little bit of cadmium red, and that takes it from that purpley red to a more pink red.
Yes.
There is
I did that, but with a pink.
I beg your pardon?
I did that. I was literally thinking that's when I made that. That's like a
really that's right.
That's really like a hot pink, and it was the quinacridone magenta or whatever, but it was with like a watermelon pink.
Yeah.
Which has like a red base.
Yeah, that's right. The quinacridone red from Langridge I found is really, really good. It's when you add it with white, it makes a nice cool pink, really, really pretty. And because these are transparent, it's beautiful for glazing. So after my painting has dried, then I add a tiny bit of my medium for the oils, make it super thin, and then just go over and do a glaze, and that makes it pop. So that's one option. Or if you paint with either oil or acrylics, you can have a neon pink as your base, and then just
Yes.
add a little bit on top. With neons, you have to be careful because of the light fastness. They sort of they fade over time. But if it's underneath, it's not a problem. It's just if it's your top layer, if then, you know, and it's exposed to the sun, it will, or no, you know, to the light, they will fade. But if it's underneath, it's okay. So a lot of
And I
painters,
find the neons quite transparent. Is that right?
Yeah. I find that acrylics have a way bigger range of pigments, even though they've told me that they are the same, they should be the same. I find that you can't find some oils that you can find in acrylics.
Yes.
So I haven't gone that far to go to a neon pink underneath, but I've thought about it, and that's one option to make it really pink. But in acrylics, it should be something like that.
Yes.
An opera pink maybe as well.
Yeah.
If it exists, I know it exists in watercolors, and it's really, really beautiful. I love it like blood. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my next thing, is to try either oils or watercolor.
Yeah.
Try oil.
You can buy like 6 paints of each, and then that's it.
Not 56.
That's right.
Every color ever made.
Oh, that's right.
I won't need to
have
because I know how to fix.
Yeah.
Do you paint much in acrylic, Shani, or just in oils mostly?
No, oils. I did paint in acrylics for a while, and I found that it dried too quick for me. So I have to be like focused.
Paint differently.
Yeah. I mean, it forces you to paint really quickly, and it's probably great for me because I'm a slow, like not slow painter, but I just love that slow, thoughtful. Well, I'm not saying that fast is thoughtless, but it's just that it's a lot of concentration, and I really quite like that. But at the same time, when I want to get loose, then acrylics and something that dries quickly forces me to. It's like, okay, I need to work fast. I don't have time to you know, concentrate too much. I just need to go with whatever.
Would you say, what would your tips be if you were going to try oil painting?
With oils, you will need a medium that is like a solvent. So what I suggest is to use Gamling. It's called Gamsol. This one here, because it is a solvent. Yeah. You need to clean your brush pretty much every time as you're using it. You can't let the brushes dry because, well, a bit like acrylics, they will dry and then it'll ruin the brush. But this one is odorless, but also the way it's made is the chemicals, whatever it is in them, it just doesn't break in the air like the other spirits do, which give you a head. They smell horrible.
Yeah.
This is quite safe. You still have to have a window open because it needs ventilation, because it is sort of, anyway, but it's like toxic. So because you have to be careful with that. Oils will not dry like acrylic. So you have several ways to paint. Usually you would paint a layer and then leave it dry and then come back the next day to dry.
So it's a long time between drying.
Yes, but that's when you start. It's probably the easier way to go, because when you are painting a la prima, which is all in one go, you're going to be mixing colors and you're going to get that mud sometimes.
Yes.
So it does take a while to get used to that. So usually when you start, the way they make you start is that. So for example, I'll just show you a little painting that we went to this artist lunch, and this is not finished. So we had to start it. We're going to do an auction for a charity. So on the day, like a quick sketch, Then I did a basic thin layer using
Yes.
a bit of the oil and a mixture of Gamsol and linseed oil. So what I do is just very, very thin. Then I let it dry. And then when I came home, I started adding a little bit more thickness to it. So this is the second layer. Now it's dry. So now I can go back to it and add another layer on top. So that's something that I would do and keep doing and building upon it. And that would take a while to be finished. And then this, that one's wet. So I want to grab that one. But, so this one, for example, I did it in one go. So this is just like in one go. I didn't let it dry. It just, you know, I start with the lightest lights in the pomegranate, and then start building the shape all around it. Then once I had the pomegranate, then I added the shadow, and then once I added the shadow, so I don't want to touch it because I touched that other paint that was wet. But I learned completely the opposite way to the way I paint. So I learned, like I said before, so you do your background first, and then you build the lights. That's how, say, Julian Ashton and the traditionals really paint. They start with the darkest, and then they go up to the lightest. So now I feel the opposite way, and that just works for me, and I find it more enjoyable. Say if I paint the pomegranate all red, and then I add that, I'm not going to get that crispness because I have color underneath. So what I do is first I draw it with my brush, with my oil paint, so not with the pencil, but just with my brush. And then you just, actually, I just posted a reel on it. So if you want to go have a look on it, you'll see how I draw it with the brush.
Yes.
And then I just go like area, like as if they're separate objects, like the shadow on the pomegranate is separate from the actual, from the little, they're not leaves, they're like a little, you know, it opens. Yeah. And then everything's separate. The shadow is separate, and then the background is separate. So that way I can paint it in one go, and I'm not going to have mud because I'm not painting on top of it. Whereas in this one, this like it's all one color, and then I add on top. So the plate is one color. Then this was one color, maybe not underneath that, but everything is one color, and then I build on top of it because it's then I can do that. Whereas if it was just imagine you have wet paint underneath, that's when you start to get mud. Just let it dry. But yeah, I mean, these are like great size. You can do that and then let it dry and then come back and
And what about the color mixing is the same?
Yeah.
As with acrylics, it's all the same.
Yeah, it's the same. Yes, it's no different. I think
so if I was going to try oil painting, I could start with a small quantity of paints and mixing and
start with a really small tubes. I suggest you buy good quality paints as well because they make a difference. So
what brands do you recommend?
Winsor and Newton, Art Spectrum, Gamblin, they're pretty much the ones that I use. I don't think I have the Langridge, and I have some Michael Harding, but Michael Harding is super expensive. And but I really actually love Art Spectrum. I think that they have good consistency and good colors, and they're not as expensive. The other thing is they have good lids. These could be, you know, a bit sort of, you feel like, oh my gosh, talking about the lids, but it does make a difference. Especially when you wear gloves. And that's the other thing, I wear gloves because of the toxicity of the paints, like the cadmium and the cobalt paints, they're toxic. So I wear gloves when I paint. Also, I feel like I either feel icky holding the tubes like these without just because I'm so
Oh.
used to wearing my gloves all the time. And so, like, these gardening gloves from Bunnings.
You paint in gardening gloves.
Yeah, gardening gloves because I hate
Do you?
waste, and so I don't like to wear the plastic ones. So I just these. But these, when I try to open these, it's so much easier than opening these tiny little lids.
Yes.
So Art Spectrum for me wins for that reason too.
Okay. I'll put that on my notes here, lids.
Isn't it funny? But anyway, you just have to experiment, I suppose.
good,
But yeah,
yeah.
I would. Art Spectrum is really reasonable, and it's Australian as well. So
Yeah, perfect. I'll give it a try.
yeah, definitely. There are also some water oils. They're called. I haven't never used them, but one of the Kelly, who was here in the last chat, she uses them, and you don't need solvent. So that might be really good to try. It'll feel probably like acrylics, but they don't dry.
Yeah.
So
And do you just wash the brushes in water then?
yeah.
Ah, yeah.
So-
Okay.
Yeah.
Winsor & Newton Artisan Water Mixable Oil Paints.
Water mixable, that's what they call. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you might want to buy the small tubes and see how you feel and see if you like them.
Yeah.
So and also Art Spectrum, if you want to write down Spectrum Red, Spectrum Yellow, and Spectrum Blue are really quite nice, and they are not too dissimilar. I mean, they're not the same to cadmium, but they're quite nice, beautiful, warm. I don't know if Spectrum Blue is, but I think that it could be. I think it's like a cobalt hue, but or otherwise ultramarine. But they would be a really good start. Yeah, to get your warms.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are oil paints, when it says transparent, like compared to an acrylic, are they as transparent as that?
Yeah.
Like, would you?
Yeah, they would have to. Yeah. With acrylics, you add water. I've heard that it has to be. You can't mix a lot of water, or the acrylics sort of over time, I think it breaks. It just makes it less stable. So you probably want to add just a little bit of water. It's not like watercolors that you can have a lot of water and a tiny bit of pigment. Well, with oils, you don't have that problem. You can have your medium and a tiny bit of oil, and then yes, it would make it really transparent. But it's also depending on the thickness. If you're not using any medium, a transparent paint will not be as transparent, but you'll feel that it just doesn't flow as like it's harder to put any. It will be a bit streaky. So when you added the pure paint without mixing it with anything, and if you're covering a large area, it will be streaky.
Well, that's exciting. I look forward to trying.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what you think.
It'll either be good or a disaster, one or the other.
It'll be good.
But that's okay. That's okay.
Exactly. You can only experiment.
That's right. That's right. And I'll experiment with the charts first.
Yes. You can't go wrong there. It's like
yes.
Yeah.
And then at least I'm starting with a small lot of paints, but hopefully lots of colours.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's it, I think.
Good.
Thank you for being here.
No, it's been wonderful. Thank you.
It's just been really good. Really, really nice. Good pace. Just and information was explained very well, succinct, not too much, not fluffy. I don't like fluff. It was very good. Yes, I'm very direct, so I like that. And I liked all the images and all the arrows. That's very helpful.
It was great.
Oh, thank you.
It's very visual. Yes, really good.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm glad that you felt that way. It's
it was very good. I'm very happy that I did it.
Me too.
Oh, thank
you very much.
Thank you.
I look forward to following on the Facebook page.
Yes, please do.
Yes.
And yes, post things, and I'd love to have a look at those. Eric, I'd love to see all the charts you come up with, including your massive one. Have a photo of you standing next to it.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here, and look forward to seeing you on Facebook, and it's an email as well if anything comes up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you too, Kate.
You too, Erica.
Bye. Good night, everyone.
Bye.